All right, so your first decision, these are decisions you have to make first. Do you want to view your world on the horizon, above the horizon, or below the horizon? Okay, that's the first step. We call that step 1. Okay, now step 2. Once you've decided now how to put your points down on the page. Okay, now here, if you want your image above the horizon, then your points need to be down low. Okay, this is above, and your points have to be down low. Now, if you want your world to appear on the horizon, then I recommend that the points be in the middle. Okay? Now, if you want your world below the horizon, then your points, your vanishing points, should be at the top. Okay?
If you draw the 2 points, that's because it's going to be like a 2-point perspective?
You got it. Now, remember, what are these points? This is called a vanishing point. Now, this particular type of perspective, because I have 2 points, it's 2-point perspective. Okay, but I will teach the other as well. Okay, this is 2 points because we're dealing with 2 points. Okay, but this is the first decision. This is your second step. Okay, first step, second step. First decision that you have to make, and then these are the steps to get there. Now, tell you what, if this is your first time, I recommend middle. Okay, if this is your first time doing 2-point perspective, I recommend the middle. Okay, recommend. Now, here we go. No, I don't want any 1 point in here. Okay, unless you are proving to me, like, if there's like some idea that's really great that you have that deals with 1 point, then I'll let you. Okay. Now, so next step. So here now are your dots, your vanishing points, either side in the middle. Okay, now, how does this all start? And it could be almost anything that you create. It could be benches, it could be whatever it is. Now, starts with a middle vertical. Now, that middle vertical goes to where? Vanishing point on this side, vanishing point, then the vanishing point on the other side, vanishing point on the other side. And then you do a middle, that vertical, parallel vertical, parallel vertical. It's parallel to this. What's missing in, let's say, this shape? What's missing? If this was a box, what's missing on the box?
The other side of the box?
This side here, right? Okay, so goes to the opposite, goes to the opposite. Now, there's some laws that you need to know, okay? When your, let's say, middle vertical goes above or below the horizon, how do you finish off the box? You take it to the opposite side. Now, don't worry, give me a minute. It'll come to your senses once we start doing this more, okay? Now, when it's on the horizon, let's put now a line. Let's see, my line, my middle vertical, okay? My middle vertical was below the horizon. What's the horizon? The horizon is where these 2 points meet, okay? This right here is the horizon line, okay? Those are my 2 points, and this is my horizon line. Now, my vertical, the very first line that I put down, that middle vertical, was below the horizon. Now, what happens, let's see if I put it on the horizon. Okay, so what's happening now on the horizon, I take it to the point, I take it to the point, I take it to the point, take it to the point, then parallel vertical, and this parallel vertical thing, you can make it as thin, as thick as you want for your shape. Now, that's another shape, floating in space, and that's one box, let's say, and here's the other box, okay? Let's just say boxes right now, okay? Now, let's say I decide to bring my middle vertical above the horizon. So what's gonna happen, take it to the point, take it to the point, take it to the point, and take it to the point. Now, this could be almost anything. Could be a building, could be a tree, could be a house. You decide how big, how small that object should be. Now, I'm going to give you a little trick in a few minutes. First, I'm teaching you the basic, like on how to do. Now, okay, what was missing is the bottom. I am above the horizon. So anytime my middle vertical is above or below the horizon, I finish it off by taking it to the opposite. So I take it to the opposite, and I take it to the opposite. Let's do this a few more times. Okay, I'm not going to leave you alone yet. That's 2 points. Now, let's try another. Middle vertical. Take it to the point. 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 And what's missing now? We got a few things missing, right? Okay, we got to do the parallel vertical, then take it to the opposite, take it to the opposite. Let's do this again one more time. Watch again. Here now I'm going to do another one, another vertical above the horizon. I'm above the horizon. Now, what do? I take it to the vanishing point, and then you can make it any shape, any form. Take it to the vanishing point, take it to the vanishing point.
I have a question.
Yes.
The more of those that you do, like, the more points it has?
No, it only has 2 points. Have you seen me draw any other points with these 2 points?
Oh.
Yeah, no, not at all. All I did was take my verticals, take it to the point, take it to the point, to the point, to the point, then parallel vertical, parallel vertical. I have 2 points. 2 points, and I'm making boxes.
You look like you were creating more points, but you were just using the points to create more boxes.
Yes. I'm using just those 2 points to make multitude of boxes, box forms. Now, can those box forms be other things? Come on, guys, you're supposed to be creative. Can they be other things? Definitely. You could turn these boxes into trees. You could turn these boxes into, I don't know, you could put them where you want to. And I will tell you, let's say if it's a tree, what I do is I find the midpoint and I drop a line down to the horizon. Let's say it's a huge sequoia tree, I don't know, some huge tree, okay? Then I take it to the point, take it to the point, parallel vertical, parallel vertical. So now I've got my tree. Let me do it so you can see it better. Here's my tree. Okay, long, tall tree. Let's say I want a little more than that. You know, I'm not happy. I want more, you know, you could say more bushy part of the tree, let's say more. So I'm going to add more in. Okay, I'll just keep adding in more box forms, and those box forms become the little bushy parts of the tree, let's say. Now here, opposite, and don't, you know, what's going to happen? Your brain's going to say, oh my God, this looks so weird. No, don't listen to your brain. Just follow the form. What I just did was a little bit illegal. I would rather you draw in, you know, the square aspect of it, like this part here, over here too, before, and then you irregulate and you make it look more natural, like a tree, you know. Irregularity, of course, to create a tree. You know, and the more, you know, you look up, let's say a tree, and you know, whatever kind of tree it is that you want, and then of course, you know, you want it to be a little bit irregular and uneven here. You want it to bend and twist and form if you want it to, but you're using that same shape to get you there, okay? But you're just irregulating it. That irregulation goes beyond that. Get it? What I'm doing there? I just kind of irregulated it. I bent the tree a bit to make it look uneven a bit, to give it more of a natural kind of feel. Make sense? Yeah? Okay. So you could do almost anything. This could become a car. This could become a house. This could become anything that you want it to be. Okay? Here's the, and how does it all start? Middle vertical. Take it to the point. 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 Parallel vertical. Parallel vertical. Take it to the opposite. Take it to the opposite. And there's your, and it could be a bunch of trees, it could be a bunch of cars, a bunch of flying objects, could be a plane, you name it. You could construct it into different things. Let me give, oh God, please no. Hey.
Good morning.
How are you? Thank you.
I noticed something was different.
Appreciate that. Somebody noticed it too. Raquel noticed it. She's like, she goes to the traffic, says, "It's sacred. There's no bag in it." Okay, so let's say let's now. What I'm gonna do right now is now we're gonna start. Yeah. What's up? Okay, sorry. Now I'll tell you what. We're gonna start playing. All right, and I'm just gonna start drawing different things to kind of help you in understanding this 2-point. Now let's say we want to draw a plane, okay? We know a plane is, if we were like to take that plane and ship it across the country, what kind of box would it be in? Number one, we do know that if it was a plane, it would probably be up high or on the ground, okay? Your choice. Tell you what, let's do it on the ground. Why not? So I'll put my middle vertical here. That's how thick I want my plane to be. Now, take it to the point. 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 Now, I'm not going to go too far. I want my plane to be maybe this wide, right here. And I want my plane to be about that thick, let's say, okay? So I'm going to stop it at that point right there. Now, what's missing is my opposites because I'm above or below the horizon. So you always finish up the box by taking it to the opposite. The top part and the bottom part is always taken to the opposite. Now, from that, I will then, and if you have to be picky, you can be picky. Maybe this would be the picky. And then from there, that's finding the midpoint, and this is your projectile coming out of there. And then your projectile, you curve it, and that would be, let's say, the nose of the plane per se. And then I would take this back more. Actually, I'm thinking about it should probably thin out right about there. I think that's a better end for it, right there. Because you want the tail to be popping up in the back there. Oh, come on, all day, all day, all day. What is up? Sure. Julie. Okay, now on this side, say my windows, I'll go into that point, and everything up and down, up and down, up and down, or, you know, curved depending upon the shape. You know, I could curve them. Okay. Round them off, curve them, do what I want to do for that. But you see what's going on here? Now midpoint, let's say the wings will come out from here, let's say, and descend back in space. Wings going out that way, descending to here, and they will stop at about right there, and my wings will stop right about there. And then, of course, it's a lot of work. You're going to get pretty much exhausted from all the lines that you're going to be drawing. But these lines, you know, they will be helping you to create this real reality. Now, somebody say, why do I need to know this? Why do I need to work this way? Any animator, any game designer, let me tell you, this is one of the first things they learn, because what they're doing is they're building for you your imaginary world. Okay, that's basically what they're doing. So when they're building that imaginary world, they need to know perspective in order to create that world. They have to in some way mimic our world, and by mimicking our world, they have to know perspective. Okay? And let's say the back tail, you know, you could curve it out so it's not so boxy. You could change the shape of it, but just it has to be like, if let's say you were drawing a circle. I had a student that did a bunch of Skittles one time. What she did is it started with boxes. We'll make it thin. It was a little too long, that middle vertical. But let's say this is a Skittle, okay? Going to the point, parallel vertical. Anytime you start, you think about the shape. If I shipped it in a box, what kind of box would I be shipping it in? And that would be, let's say, your Skittle box. Now, how do you make the Skittle? Well, you find the midpoint, and you could draw it out, you know, using the, what's it called, the ruler. You could still find the midpoint that way. But all I'm doing is I'm basically finding my midpoints and I'm rounding it out. Rounding out the corner, round out the corner, round out the corner. And by rounding out the corner, what's happening is I'm now developing this round shape. Instead of that square shape, I now have this roundness to it, okay? And you basically, this will now be, let's say, my Skittle, okay? That is, and I put my S over here, and S has to, and then another thing too, this helps you, you know, like let's say when you're drawing, you always notice that there's like lines, or there might be words on a bottle. It has to take on the shape and the form, and you think, oh my God, how do you do that? How do you do it so it looks so realistic? You have to use perspective in order to do it. Like here, I'm drawing the S. I mean, you would think, oh my God, just the S on the Skittle and I have to do all this work? Yes, you do, okay? If you want it to look realistic and you want people to say, oh yeah, that's a Skittle, you know, you've got to put in the work in order to do so, okay? I know the S is up here, it's not over here, but I wanted to show you how you basically break down that S into the shape that it's supposed to be by making, if anyone has taken graphics, this is kind of like how you're taught to make letters and stuff, is by starting off with the box form and rounding it out, okay? So basically, now you've got your S form to the perspective. This is pretty much an amplification of what I just did there, okay? Does that make sense to you? Okay, tell you what, I'm gonna stop there, because well, actually, let me show you something real quick. I'm gonna take a detour. Okay, I'm gonna stop this real quick. All right, so human form, okay? we know how tall it is, and we know how, hold on, let me make sure, oh, I see, got it. Okay, so now let me make sure I got it here on camera too. Okay, good. All right, so human form, right? So we know the human form would be like a box, okay? The shape, the form. It would be a thin box. If I start, let's say, drawing, like I said, the human form, if we break it down into a shape. And if you think of those George Tucker images, you know, those people look rather comical in some way. So here we have the basic form of a human, but there's more, you know, in between here, like that midpoint area that I talked about. And again, you know, I could sit here and draw it with the ruler, but I know exactly where that midpoint is. And that midpoint right there helps you to define the next shape, which would be the cylinder. And then on top of that cylinder, okay, would be that circle form, okay, the circle form of the head, okay? And the head would relatively, and I'm sorry I'm drawing it without, you know, taking it to the point, but relatively speaking, this would now be the human form on top of that, okay? And then this would get rounded out, rounded out, rounded out, rounded out. And now you have, let's say, the head. Let me draw this a little bit darker so you can see what the heck I'm doing. That would be the head. This would be the shoulders, okay? And now, you know, we want to animate the body a bit. And we know that, you know, the arms would be at the side. We also know, take it to the point, take it to the point. So that way we could come up with the area for the hips, the body form, the pants, the side of the human form. Is he bent? Is he twisted? What exactly is going on with the form? We could change the form, but yet keep it where it is in that perspective. Here's another box form, which is the projection of the foot. Foot goes to, and I just did the midpoint, take it to the point, take it to the point, but yet that is a projection, so it doesn't necessarily have to go to that vanishing point as long as everything else is, okay? You see what I just did there? I just made up that leg form projecting out from that square. Now this one can stay, this other foot could stay in line with everything else that is going on with the foot. Let's say we could now keep this, we'll keep this foot in perspective, let's say. The other foot would be out of perspective. Or you could say, what I call it is a projectile from the mass form. Okay, so now here we've got 2 feet. Here's 1 foot, here's the second foot. And then here's the human form. And this is here's the actual form itself. And now I'm bending the form a bit to make it, you know, a little bit more naturalistic. And then of course, if I need to, you know, get imagery to help me, like let's say I need to, you know, what kind of pants is he wearing? I have to look to see, okay, what kind of, you know, what could I do with that to make, I look for my visual data. What kind of shirt do I want him to wear? So I would look for something to help me to build that shirt or those pants that he's wearing, or the kind of shoes that he's wearing, or what kind of face do I want him to have. I might look for a picture to help me with that face. Get it? But this is my basic form of my human. Get it? Yes, no? Did I lose you? You all right? Okay, so that's 2 point. Now, I'm just going to ask, is there anybody who's interested in seeing 3, 4, or 5 point? Or is 2 point enough?
2 points enough.
Okay, is anybody 3, 4, or 5 point? Anybody? 3, 4, or 5 point? Okay, that's it. I'm stopping at 2 point. Any questions, questions, questions? Questions? Okay, now remember,